I'm very excited about showing you this room today. It's the largest room in the house. You watched us design and build this house in 150 days, but the work is far from over. We're about to jump into my favorite part of the process of bringing all this together. Join me for an exclusive look right here on ehowhome. So here's the main room of the house. I'm really excited about how it all came together. You see, this room, being the largest, is 21.5 feet this direction by 14.5 this way. And what we wanted to do here is make sure that this room served at least two purposes. It needs to serve as a place for people to gather and sit, a sitting room, with the focal point being the fireplace, and a place for dining here at the dining table, with the dining table and the chandelier being the focus in this zone of the room. And it also serves in a way as a hall, because from the kitchen into the master bedroom, we wanted to make sure there was plenty of room to pass by easily. So before we get too detailed and start talking about the furniture placement and the colors, the textures, and the accessories in the room, I'd like to talk about the structure of the room, because I think it's very important. We did some interesting things to give this room charm. I didn't want it to feel like just an ordinary space, and so we did some things to sort of, bump up the charm factor. The ceiling, for instance, these are the ceiling joists, and the ceilings in the house are 10 feet except in this room, because we didn't cover these joists with any sort of sheetrock or wood. What we did is we took the 2x10 boards that ran across here and we doubled them, put one next to the other, and then we ran a 2x4 under it, so it looks as though these are beams that support the upper story of the house. They're actually just the floor joists for upstairs, or for the ceiling here. But we opened up another about 10 inches in this room, which gave it more lift. Also, the rhythm of these beams gives more visual appeal. If you take a look at the walls, we did something interesting there too. Rather than doing sheetrock or drywall, what we did is we took OSB board, we covered it with burlap, glued it on, and then attached it to the walls, and then covered it with layers of paint. Here we used Benjamin Moore's Snow White paint. And then if you look on the lower half of the wall, we did a wainscot, a classic wainscot, and there we just used those pine boards set on the horizontal and then attached cabinet doors to it and painted them all white. That gave this room some lift, made it more interesting. And we can't forget about the floor. I love sisal rugs, so we had Lumber One order us this sisal rug that fits the room. It's just 1 foot off of each wall, and it's centered in the room. And well below it, we have pine floors that have been painted a dark color. This color is called Black Bean Soup by Benjamin Moore. And I think it's really great because it's dark and it grounds the entire room. And then you get this beautiful sort of wheaten natural fiber laid on it in the way of the sisal rug. So there you have it. That's sort of the framework or the form of this room. Now let's talk about the arrangement of the furniture. Over here, we have our dining zone, if you will. I love this table, which has a Gothic motif around the apron. It's made by Lane Venture. We left the bun feet natural as well as the top. Then I wanted to do something fun for the chairs. What could be more American or classic than these ladderback chairs? I found them in an antique shop, but they were just oak colored. They were in pretty good shape, but I decided I wanted to paint them red. And the seats in them were in really good shape, so I think I got a great deal on them. I bought all 6 chairs for $150. Then I had them painted slightly different shades of red. Again, just to sort of play with the eye just a bit. I love red because the eye is drawn to it. And that's why I painted this chandelier yet another shade of red than these chairs. So you have these different color vibrations going on. In the centerpiece, I found this huge alabaster bowl and then filled it with these balls that are made of saris. Don't you love all the colors? Hey, if you love red, I'd love to know how you use it in your decorating. Okay, so this is the dining space, and it couldn't be a dining space without a few elements that might help you serve. For instance, this corner cabinet is a place to store dishes, both in the shelves and below in the cabinet. And then over here, I designed this console, a narrow farm table that we cut down. So if you wanted to have guests over, you could take away this You could even take away the lamps if you wanted to, and you could use this as a serving piece for the dining table. And I'm always interested in coming up with unique ways to make people comfortable. After all, that's what this whole house is about, is creating stylish comfort. So seating is important. I don't have a lot of room to put chairs everywhere, and that wouldn't look very good either. So what we did is we came up with some benches. For instance, here, this bench can be pulled out, the top flips up, and you can actually store in this bench. And then here I have a bench from Paul Michael that runs along the back side of this sofa. So there's auxiliary seating in this area. Now, balance is very important in a room. When you look at this room face on, I wanted to make sure that both sides of the room were balanced. They certainly don't have to be symmetrical. I don't need the same object here as I have over there. So over here I used an armoire, which is a great place for an entertainment center. Above it I put a vintage picture and then a very large mercury glass vessel. And on this side, to pick up the browns of that armoire, I used these amber colored overscaled lamps, which I just love, from Paul Michael's. If you use overscaled things in your house, I'd love to hear about it. And drop me a comment on what you think of these lamps. I think they're the real deal. And then in the center, this is one of the drawings that I did a few years ago of some of the big organic vegetables we were growing here at the farm. So I have one of those as a center point. So you can see the tabletop, the amber colored glass, the tones of this picture echo the browns that we have over here on the other side. So the room does feel balanced. Now let's take a look at this seating area here. Now I mentioned comfort a moment ago, and I really wanted a cozy little place where you could sit by the fire and enjoy a conversation with friends. And what we did here to achieve that is that we chose fabrics that have natural fibers in them. Love this Suzani fabric. It's printed on a linen, and we actually slip covered some old vintage chairs here. Slip covers, I don't know, they just give it sort of a warm sort of feel. We even slip covered this sofa. So you can see here that you could seat 3 people on the sofa, 2 here, so you could seat 5 people easily in the space. The coffee table is one from Paul Michael. I like the galvanized top, indestructible but very stylish looking, and also the way in which the wood frame of it has been distressed. I love the finish on it. It fits with our farmhouse chic. Now, speaking of a distressed finish, take a look at the focal point of the room, the mantel, and above it, the cartouche that we made out of old tools. You see, I went out in the barn and I went over to my aunt and uncle's house. I went around and prowled through the barns and outbuildings of a lot of my family members, and also hit a few junk shops and clustered these tools together. And I'll tell you, I didn't pay over $5 for any one of those tools. And I found this old leather strap, bound them together, and tied it with that leather strap, and then we mounted it here as the focal point. It was really a lot of fun. I have to say that all the pieces in this room, I think this is my favorite object. I'd love to know what you think. And isn't it fun to take things that might otherwise be discarded or have no other use and create something really kind of fun and interesting? It certainly is a conversation piece. Anyway, I digress. It is the piece above the mantel, and the mantel itself is an old mantel that I found over in Memphis in, well, a salvage building where they keep pieces and fragments of old buildings. It was really a lot of fun to go through there, and this mantel had really a lot of soul to it, and that's why I wanted it, because you can still see it has the old milk paint finish on it. It was very simple, comes from the 1830s, and it really fit our farmhouse chic look. But if you back away, you'll see we have the 2 French doors here, which bring light into the room. There are windows on either side, and then above, to help reflect light, I used a pair of oval mirrors that are made by Park Hill. And I think the combination of colors, shapes, forms, and textures really make this wall an interesting composition. This wall is important because it's the first thing you see as you come through the front door and into the entry hall. Hey, I'd love to know what you think of this room, so leave a comment below. And make sure that you subscribe to ehowhome so you don't miss out on any of the other room reveals in the house.